Today, I had the honor and the privilege of sitting down with Aida Rodríguez, who is a comedian, yes, but also an advocate and a truth teller, someone who fights for justice in honest but also very funny ways, someone who speaks the truth in a world that would like to keep certain people quiet.
I never want to be so logical and so rational and so practical that somebody else's life slips through my fingers because I wouldn't act from the most empathetic place in me.
I feel so motivated after this conversation, and I know you will too. Okay, I do want to start with what you just said about, so you're not in an accident. We'll get that out of the way.
Mm-hmm.
Everyone's safe. There's a dog on the highway.
Yeah.
You'll give me the actual story, but as I just heard it, dogs on the highway.
Yes.
4 white women run out, risk their lives to save a dog.
Different cars. Yeah.
Different cars. And you said, I
better see you do this when you see little kids getting sprayed with mace, zip tied, the way you show up for a dog. You risk everybody's life on that freeway because one car was facing in the opposite direction of oncoming traffic. And I was like, there was no, you could tell that it was all emotion, no thought, no logic. It was like jumping into action to save this dog that did not want them to save him. Like he jumped off and then off the freeway and kept going. And then the chaos ensued on the freeway that they caused by the way that it was just so illogical that it was like, you even put the dog in danger by doing this. Like, even though it was just, I don't know if it was performative. One of them was like squatting on the ground, trying to get the dog to come to her.
I love the no thought reference because is it true? Shouldn't we be able to? We should be able to. It's quite difficult to just respond that way for another person being harmed.
Absolutely.
But a dog,
yep,
like right into action mode.
100%.
I was talking about this yesterday. I grew up in New York, and bystander effect. Someone falls off the subway tracks, and everybody waits around because someone's gonna do something, right?
Mm-hmm.
Someone's gonna do something. Someone's gonna do something, right? And who's going to be the person who does something?
Mm-hmm.
What does it take to do something? You do stuff. What does it take to do something?
I don't know. Compassion, empathy. I don't know. I remember a friend of mine who is also a comedian. We were in Korea, and we went outside of Seoul into like one of the villages. And we went into this shop. And from the moment that we went into the shop, we could all tell that the owner of the shop had an issue with the woman that we came in. And my friend, she's white, April Macy. So when, anyway, she keeps asking to try on dresses. He keeps saying, you can't, you're too big, which she's pretty small. I'm taller than she is. I asked, can I try on a dress? He's like, yes, you can try.
No.
But every time he's like, no, you can't. You too big. So anyway, she finds a dress that she likes. So she goes into the dressing room. And when she closes the dressing room door, the hook falls off. And he gets furious. He rushes over to the dressing room, grabs the hook, and throws it at the door. And I'm like, hey, I think we need to get out of here. But as soon as we started to leave, he grabbed her. He was physically trying to hold her to try to lock her into the store. And another comedian and I, we just jumped into action and just started pulling her back. I couldn't imagine just freezing and not doing anything. We were in another country. We don't speak the language. They could tell the cops anything. But our instincts were we got to save her. We got to figure out how we're going to get out of this. Nobody stopped for one moment to think about anything because a person was in danger. And so I hope that never goes away. I hope that it never goes away. I never want to be so logical and so rational and so practical that somebody else's life slips through my fingers because I wouldn't act from the most empathetic place in me.
Comedy, is there something inherent in wanting to be, comedians need to observe. There's a paying attention quality. Were you always this activist spirit, or is it the more I pay attention, how can I not be an activist?
No, this has been who I am. And we've been trying to figure out if it's nature or nurture, because it started pretty young. I think it comes from, it's nurture. I think it's 50-50. I'm the eldest daughter. We hear a lot about that. I'm the eldest Latina daughter. And I had a grandmother who didn't speak English, so I was always a translator. I was always taught to be of service. And that is where I started to draw my value from. Teaching, performing kindness to people so that they would see that I had value, which is something that I've identified now. But there's a part of me who I can't watch injustice. And I watched it in my family. My uncles and my grandmother fought cops in Miami because they were beating on a mentally ill young man that we knew in our neighborhood, and they just were beating him, and my uncles jumped in, and everybody went to jail, including me. I went to social services because my grandmother was like, it's not right. And when you see something that's not right, you got to do something.
That reminds me, I was a kid. My mom, we left a pizza shop. We were in Queens. We got a full pizza pie. And this man is being aggressive with a woman. And my mother, I was shocked. I mean, I was terrified. I can't believe she did this. She said, get the fuck off her. Get the fuck off. And she throws the pizza at him.
That's right.
And then she goes, run to the car. She's just running to the car because he's now like, what the fuck you doing? And I mean, I think it's just like it hit my bones. I remember I was scared as a kid, and there was no part of me that said, I will do that. And yet I think it has become me to fight in my own way, to call out injustice in my own way. Is there a level of, use the word service? I was raised to be of service. But you also make art. You're also, you know, and I make art, and we have to, what is that line that I think I'm always trying to navigate?
Yeah.
How do we be of service and make something super juicy and entertaining?
That's the question right now, especially that I've been dealing with, because being so preoccupied with the machine where they tell us so much that art is a certain way, I don't think the people are responding. I think people want to see a reflection of their stories and realness and authenticity. I think this has been a breakout of authenticity, which is why you see influencers do so well and people have such a big following, because people see themselves in these people who are telling the stories. And so for me, now that I believe this is an opportunity to go direct to consumer, I'm trying to navigate that and figure out, what does my art look like? Because I've never wanted to do stand-up comedy if I wasn't saying something. My heroes in comedy have always been the hitters. You know, I love George Carlin, who goes viral on TikTok today. And you see these kids, they don't even know who he is. What a trip, right? Yeah. They don't even know. They're like, look at Joe, this man is spitting. They don't even know who he is. So for me, it's always been, you know, and I've been accused of being heavy-handed or being too aggressive, too confrontational. But
is that too aggressive, too confrontational? Do you think you would have ever gotten that if you were not a woman?
Oh, absolutely not. Because George Carlin did it. Yeah. And he's the same people who accuse me of being that and tell me to stick to comedy. He's on their top 5 of comedians. Because, you know, I'm neurotic that way. I will go to your page when you say a comment like that, and I'll go look. You call yourself a comedy fan. You will love Bill Burr. You will love George Carlin. But you don't want to hear me say those things because your sexism and racism doesn't allow you to process that coming from me, because I'm a brown woman and you don't want to hear me talk about that stuff. So, of course.
Direct to consumer. This is new. Is it the trend? Is it your trend? Is it the move? What's the...
I've always been self-made because I've never been a machine favorite, since I got here. I'm a 5'10" Puerto Rican Dominican woman. I'm not in the breakdowns. Never really been in the breakdowns. So, I made a movie that I wrote, produced, did everything, and I raised the money and I sold it 2007, and that was like film school for me. And I was like, you can do this. You can create your own stuff. So it's always been me. I've always been one to say, if they don't let me do it, I'll do it myself. Albert Einstein said that. He said, I'm thankful to everybody who told me no, because of them, I did it myself.
Mm. Einstein is my Einstein thing I return to, is that Einstein knew things, felt things intuitively that weren't proved until 60 years after he said them. And that knowing, I believe we all have. I believe it takes wild conditioning and strength training. Yeah. But there is a knowing of our value, of our worth, of our genius.
Yes.
And it's really hard, I think. Like some of us, Einstein, you just come out the womb and you just know.
Yeah.
You just know. How do we strengthen that knowing? I think you know.
Yes. It's so funny because I hear a lot of people speaking to the things that I grew up listening to from my grandmother, which other people would label as being kooky or witchy back in the day. But my grandmother always, being connected to my spiritual self, understanding the ancestral powers that we walk in. People say that now it's trendy. People say it, but we grew up like that. We grew up, commissioning our angels, because we've always had to believe that there's something bigger than us because of our circumstances, right? Not because of, but in light of our circumstances. We're not supposed to be here technically because of all of the things that were done to our ancestors, and still we're here. So I know there's something bigger, and that we're supposed to be here because they've been trying to exterminate us
a long time
from the jump, since they got here. Look, today is Columbus Day, right?
Is it?
It allegedly, yeah. It's Indigenous Peoples Day, First Nations Peoples Day, but yeah. So I know it's something bigger than what they tell me my God is, because the God that they tell me about is used to condition me so that they can oppress me. So I've always believed in. I have my azabache, and I don't let anybody minimize it and tell me, hey, that's superstition, that's black magic. That's magic. And that's the reason I'm still here, is that there's something guiding me that's greater than what they say is guiding me.
Magic is magic, not black magic. And what did this woman say to me? We had someone on the show and we were talking about voodoo. And voodoo gets dark magic, black magic, this bad rap. And what this woman said is, while you were taking away our medicine, we had to come up with our own medicine.
That's right.
But medicine is medicine.
That's right.
And healing is healing. And love is love. And that I will never forget. Like the way that whiteness has done a beautiful job of trying to make them seem less or bad. Tell me more about ancestors. I'm going to be honest, the word is not new for me, but actually the practice.
Yeah.
Every morning I say, I know I have the full support of all of my ancestors. That's right. This is a new thing for me. I'm like 6 days in to this sentence. And it's been coming up more and more. Spiritual, I'm not for lack of. I got that in doses. But this word ancestor, how does it show up for you or stay in your life? And do you have to put into it in order for it to put out? Yeah.
Absolutely. I won't say I've been doing this since I was 8, because that's not true. But I know that it's been in my environment, and I didn't understand it until later, until my grandmother became an ancestor and my uncle became an ancestor, and understanding what they were saying about dreams and understanding what they were saying about signs. it is something that I believe that I pour into. When I pray to the Most High, I pray to the angels, I pray to the saints, I pray to the witnesses, and I pray to the ancestors. I believe that there is a legion of spiritual beings that surround me and guide me. And I hope that I can name them all, because I do believe and I know in my center that they're there. And since I was little, I used to talk to trees when I was a little kid. I wrote about it in my book. And in the Bible, it says that trees are angels. And listen, I've always had this belief in magic, and I won't let anybody take that away from me or taint it or make it seem like it's something dark or bad. I feel sorry for those who don't have an opportunity to commission the angels. They are waiting for us to say, hey, protect this airplane, deliver us safely unto our destination, bless those that we're leaving behind and those that are to receive us. Words are power. They always have been. And I think that many of us don't really understand how powerful they are. They're so powerful that we're still here. Our grandmother's blessings are still covering us.
I always, my grandmother's on my altar, and she said, "Tú eres el mejor actor en todo el mundo."
Oh, that's right.
And would say it every day.
That's
when I said I was into acting and believed it before even I could believe it. Mm-hmm. Said it before I was even comfortable with it. And I thought that was so... I hold those words. Words are spells in your mouth.
It still fills you. You just lit up saying, it's beautiful.
Words are spells in your mouth. You speak in order to change something. What words are you speaking? What spells are you casting? Right. Susan Laurie Parks. The other part of I believe your practice is curiosity, paying attention. I think that's how someone makes comedy. I think that's how they make art. All of this stuff. How do you stay curious? How do you practice? Like, for someone listening, how do you practice the practice of curiosity, of paying attention?
Well, I think it's been, I came here this way, I was always the curious kid. I think in comedy, it depends on what you're in it for, right? Whereas it's happening in all of the arts. I moved to Los Angeles to be an actor. I came with a script that I wrote that made it to like the final round of the Sundance Writers Lab competition, and I just thought I was like, that's it, I'm in.
Man, I had those moments.
We all do, right? And I moved.
It's done.
Yeah, I'm like, it's about to go down. And I came here, and then I got derailed, right? And I listened, because though when I was a kid, I said I wanted to be a stand-up comedian, that was not the plan when I moved here. And then I ended up on a stage, and I was like, oh, this feels good. I can do this. This is also a part of me, my storytelling. But I stay curious because I love storytelling. And I feel like it's lazy to feel like you have so much to say and it's only coming from one way. Like, for me, observing other people's behaviors is part of my comedy experience. Comedy is an interactive experience. Yeah. I don't do stand-up from this way out. Some people, they want to be heard, they want to be adored, they want to be revered, and they want to be listened to, and they want people to say you're sharp and you're smart. For me, I want people to say, oh, she's learning on the job. Like, when she leaves this show, she learned something from me too, because I was in the audience. That for me is more valuable than, I don't do it for myself. I do it so that it's an interactive, for me, in an interactive experience. We both have to feel gratified. Some people do it for the audience. There's some people that are like, listen to me. I have some really funny shit to say. I'm pretty brilliant. I'm clever. They'll tell you themselves. A lot of the men in comedy will tell you how fucking brilliant they are. They don't wait on the audience to tell them. And then if you don't laugh at a joke, they'll say, you know what? That was a fucking great joke. You guys are wrong, which I think is absolutely hilarious to watch. For me, when they don't laugh, I laugh, because I'm like, oh, y'all didn't really like that shit. I get it. Like, I'm going to go back and work on it, because I want you to like it and I want you to find it funny. But for me, curiosity is the effort that shows that you care about this art that you claim to love.
Curiosity is proof that you care,
It's the action. It's the action that you put forth to prove that you love what you're doing as an actor. The curiosity is what takes you deeper within to find this character and like somebody that kills babies and say, you know, I gotta like this person because I gotta play it. Yeah. It's the curiosity to go in there and say, there's gotta be something about this person that I can connect to, that I understand, that I see. And for me, I don't ever want to be lazy about art because I'm asking people to pay for it, and I respect people.
Yeah, it's beautiful. I'm listening to a book about Mary Oliver right now, the poet, whose superpower I think was curiosity. Right, like that's how a poem like Wild Geese becomes what it is.
Yes,
that's how you win many Pulitzers. It's like you have to be curious about the world, and Mary Oliver had this practice. Mary Oliver never went to Paris or Rome. She talks about this in her collection of essays. She said, why would I go there when I have the whole world right here in front of me every morning? Every morning I see the sand like I've never seen it before. And I think there's something so in this world where we're like, no, I got to watch more, I got to do more, I got to taste more, I got to have more, I got to experience more. She's like, no. This whole thing is the whole world.
Yes, capitalism. There's a book called The Bondwoman's Narrative, and it's about a slave that learned how to write, that was taught how to write. She wasn't about taking long walks and strolls through the park. You know, she was never going to go to Paris, but was able to write an amazing piece of art, because you can go anywhere you want to go here. And when I was in the Bronx and when I was in Alapata in Miami and I was poor and on a WIC and in food stamps, I would go many places. And I didn't have the means, you know, people that I know my age that went to France for the first time when they were 9. I didn't, you know, but I was able to write and read and go places, I mean, that I never dreamed of going, but I was able to go there, teleport there through my imagination and my creativity. And I think that that's a superpower, because
imagination. Oh yeah.
To be able to go because your parents can't afford for you to go, for you to take it for granted, and you're like, they got croissants. But to teleport there in the circumstances where you're surrounded by crime and poverty and hunger and fear and drama, I think that's pretty special.
Yeah, amen. Can we talk about if there is a science? Maybe you're like, there is no science. Is there a science to this joke crafting, to being funny, to
100%?
Yeah, and maybe you don't want to share it, maybe you don't share it, maybe it's all yours.
No, share. I share. I read a lot of like spiritual books, and I read the Bible, the Quran, the Kabbalion. The Bible says, buy the truth, but don't sell it. And I always feel like it is our duty to share information with one another. Only insecurity imprisons us from that, because what you are destined to be, what is your magic, what you are supposed to manifest in your own life cannot be tapped by anybody else. Yeah. Even the ones who think they're doing it. I'm holding her back because she said she signed this letter and she did this. You're not holding me back. You're holding yourself back from what the universe can grant you with your ill will. So yes, there is a science to comedy. Comedy is an art form and it's also a science, and you have to commit yourself to both. The creativity of being able to make people laugh, you know, being able to round up 300 people that come from different places, have had all different days, different experiences in those last 8 hours, and then you get them all in one room and they join together in one thought that you come up with. And laughter is pretty spectacular.
It's cool. It's powerful.
It's very powerful. And I think, you know, the science is the technical stuff. There are fundamentals, just like there are in basketball. Understanding what a premise is, what a punchline is, what a tag is, how to structure a joke. If you're a storyteller, if you're a one-liner, there are a lot of people who think they can skip that because they get followers and they're like, I'm going on stage. But that adrenaline, that gasoline runs out, and then it's just you, the audience, and the expectation of you sharing thoughts that are going to make them think and laugh. And so there is 100% a science of stand up. And it took me a long time to learn it because I was operating on charisma and personality and aggression, being commanding of a stage and having stage presence, which I didn't battle with at the beginning. I came into the game, already feeling confident, but I had to go back and learn the fundamentals. You can't just shoot. You can't dunk the whole game, right? You got your shooting game. You know what I mean? You got to learn. You got to
Have
know
some
your jump
finesse.
shot. Yeah,
Yeah.
you gotta learn how to play defense.
Yep.
And comedy is no different. Some people really think and they get away with it, because we're in this era now where, and I think you probably would understand that there are two groups of people that are consuming this stuff. There's like the connoisseurs; those are the people that love art. They love the actors, they love comedians, they love music, they love instruments, they love the effort that goes into creating art. And then there's the pop culture consumers. And those are two very different audiences.
Yeah.
And I don't want that that's not my audience. Nothing wrong with them. I don't think I'm better than them. But that consumption of art as if that it expires.
Art is product.
Yeah, and it
It's
expires.
fast fashion, Forever 21,
Yeah,
quick in, quick out.
McDonald's. It's
Yeah.
all of that. And I'm over here with Basquiat,
Mhm.
George Carlin, Billie Holiday. Like that's what I want to rock with. And whether you think it's corny over here, it doesn't matter to me because I'm not talking to you. I'm talking to the people that read books that love A Confederacy of Dunces because that's my favorite book. Like that understand that this is something that lives forever, and I want to be so connected to that because I'm afraid to leave here and not leave something behind that matters.
You were afraid of that, meaning you don't think you've done it already?
I'll never think I've done it because that's what an artist is. Artists, we don't ever think we've arrived because we're always learning and growing and evolving.
Yeah, that brings me a lot of suffering.
Yeah, but the people that whenever you hear somebody say, I killed this, I bodied this thing, you're like, yeah, you probably didn't.
That brings me a lot of, I know the feeling, and it brings me a lot of suffering to this not arriving.
Yeah.
I dream of arriving,
Yeah.
like
Me too.
I'm so peaceful in a moment of arrival. I've had it in moments, but
Yeah.
this forever never finish line that like is always in some distance. There's some great opus or some great thing or some great work.
Hey, I'm Allison Stoner. Yes, that former Disney Channel child actor. After surviving 2 decades in Hollywood, I became a mental health practitioner, and now it's time I spill the tea on the toddler to train wreck pipeline of child stars. Semi-Well-Adjusted Despite Literally Everything is my debut memoir. It's very raw, semi-funny, semi-heartbreaking, and it's a call for healing and reform. Yes, I name names. Get your book of the summer, Semi-Well-Adjusted Despite Literally Everything, read by me, wherever you listen to audiobooks.
Beautiful director Mayan Tao, she said to me, and I'd never heard it, but because I always say curiosity is my greatest strength. And she said, she was just talking about herself. Curiosity is so wonderful for me, and it also brings me a lot of suffering because I realize I'm curious. I'll never not be curious.
That's right.
And so I say yes to everything, and then I'm busy, and too busy, and then I'm overworked, and then it just spirals. And so knowing this double-edged sword, for me, it's definitely curiosity. Like I want to do everything.
Yeah.
I love what you said. You said it would be so boring to just tell stories in this way.
Yeah.
I should tell them in this way, and I should have the book, and then I should do the direct-to-consumer and this and that. And that to me is the beauty of curiosity. But I have come since had that conversation with Mayan to understand. Oh, there is a too much.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. No, I have ADHD, so absolutely.
So the world is the world. What are you excited about, or what maybe gives you beautiful peace about, like, or joy about what's going on in this world?
It's funny. Lauren London posted this thing on her Instagram page, and it's gonna sound very basic, but I felt it in my soul. She posted that she can go to sleep at night because she knows that she's never done some sucker shit. And that for me, it's people. I mean, I know about the conversations that people have behind my back because nobody keeps secrets. Also, people tell me, hey, you're doing this, you're too aggressive, you're doing this, you need to fall back. I'm not a sucker. I don't do sucker shit. I stand on 10 toes down on integrity. I am not going to ever apologize for holding Latinos, Latinx people accountable for their anti-Blackness and anti-Indigenous sentiment. Never. I'm never. And at the same time, I love my people.
Wait, so people have given you shit for that?
Oh, yeah, because they think I go too hard or, I don't get invited to some of the things because I feel too aggressive. It is of urgency that we do this because this is why we are where we are now. We have no solidarity. So people think they can just run through us with trucks and exterminate us like animals in the street because we don't have solidarity. We deny the humanity of people who are darker skinned. We devalue because we have been so indoctrinated to want the white gaze upon us that we do to each other what white supremacy used to do. We no longer need white supremacy to do its work for us because we are doing it to one another. So people, I don't get invited to some of these events, and sure, it hurts my feelings sometimes, but I know what it is because I am the mirror sometimes to some people who don't want to see their truth.
To their discomfort.
There's a lot of Latino events and you don't see, there's one Black person, their favorite Black person, and it's like, we don't understand because then when we're like, why don't we show up for each other? You keep ignoring a great portion of the people that belong to us.
Well, you keep ignoring the conversation.
Absolutely. So I know that I haven't done any sucker shit. And so it takes me a little longer, but I get to do all of the things that I wanted to do. I wanted to write a book. I wrote a book. HarperCollins came to me. I didn't go to HarperCollins. I did a comedy special on HBO Max. I was able to take HBO Max to Puerto Rico and the Dominican Republic and show how beautiful and how broad our spectrum is. We did palos. I had palos in the Dominican Republic with dark-skinned Black people and say, these are our people. This is us. This is all us. I feel, vindicated because Tiffany Haddish gave me a special on Netflix and I was able to do what I wanted to do without having to compromise who I am and saying what I wanted to say without apology. And so for me, that matters more. And if some people in the industry don't want to mess with me because I'm disruptive, good. We are not aligned because this is bigger than this business. This is a spiritual plane that we exist on with one another. And we have to answer for this spiritually, whether we believe it or not. And so for me, that's how I feel. And I feel good about the fact that I have never had to do some sucker shit to be here. Everything that I've been able to do has been because I've worked hard and because I've honored who came before me, and I never forget.
No regrets.
No regrets. Couple of dudes, but yeah.
So I'm curious your take on I use the word brown very specifically.
I love it.
Because it's not, Blackness has done such a beautiful job at saying you are Black. Blackness has done a better job at taking in Latinos who identify as Black
Absolutely.
than Latinos have.
Absolutely.
And we obviously know the power that the term white has had in this world. And meanwhile, we're so divided because Hondurans want to be Hondurans and Colombians want to be Colombians and the Puerto Ricans are like, where's my TV show? And then the Cubans are over here. And then you have the South Asians and you got my Pakistani friend and then you got like the Arabs and the Middle Easterns and then, and the North Africans. And I think I chose brown as this moniker.
I love
it. It says there's more brown than anything else. So I'm curious if you're saying you love it, but yeah, so it fits in your.
I love it. I think that, first of all, a lot of Blackness has been appropriated by a lot of people. They use it when it's convenient. The BIPOC or saying people of color, and it erases Blackness. The Black American experience is very different than any other experience. Chattel slavery is a unique experience unto itself. And as I've learned to not disrespect that journey. Brownness is valid. There is this brown reality of the people that come from all different parts of the world that come here and are not white. But a lot of us are not Black. And, I have this conversation with my daughter because my daughter is Black. And my daughter is like, you present very differently than I do. You walk through life very differently than I do. You don't get the texturism with your hair that I get. That's my greatest teacher. My kids are my greatest teachers. So I think being able to say brown owns a lot of stuff that has been denied in the past. A lot of white Latinos, as I call them affectionately, have a very different experience when the way they present. People see us and they know we're not Black, right? They know we're not Black American, but they know we're not white.
Yeah.
And I think it's important to own that. And as much as some of our brothers and sisters really want to be white, they're not. And in this moment in time where we're experiencing what we are with our people right now, a lot of people are learning in real time, and it's painful.
What's your advice for, I know what I would say to them, Latinos who are white passing,
Mm-hmm.
who they do want to do this work. They do want to speak
Mm-hmm.
up. But then they also feel like they feel weird about being super pro-Latino, knowing that they're white passing, knowing that they already have this sort of privilege.
Mm-hmm.
Is it just moving past that discomfort? Is it like, that's exactly why you of all people need to constantly be in those rooms and say, where's this person? Or why aren't we talking about this? Is it as simple as that?
Well, I think that when you're performing your pride for being Latino, it's indicative that there's an issue because you either are or you aren't, whether you're white, brown, Black, you have blue eyes. I think coming from the families that we come from, Puerto Ricans, Dominicans specifically, our families look so different. We have the Asian, we always have un chino, una china that we say because we call everybody who's Asian Chinese. We have the blacker one, we have the whiter one. And when you get together, everybody's dancing their salsa or their merengue, and they're just part of this collective. What I will say is allyship is quiet. It is not loud. It is action. It is not, talk. It is utilizing your privilege to create a way for somebody else. And that can be as silent can be. It doesn't have to be loud. It doesn't have to be performative. It just, I'm on a panel. They said, hey, we want to have a panel. We're going to have a conversation with Latinos. I'm like, I'm not showing up unless you have a dark-skinned Black Latino on the panel. Because if we're going to talk about the experience, we're going to talk about it all. I've been like, you're going to talk about the Asian experience within the Latino.
And now you've done this and
100%.
You've gotten both yeses and nos?
I've gotten yeses and nos. And then I don't do it. And that's just it. And I don't have to tell anybody that I did that because I don't do it for props. I did it because I feel like that's right. And, if you're going to talk about Latinidad, you can't ignore my grandmother's experience, who was a Black Latina. Like this experience doesn't go. And I've been identified as Afro-Latina. It's interesting. A lot of white Latinos call me Afro-Latina, and it causes a big stir because dark-skinned Afro-Latinos are like, she's not Afro-Latina.
Or like, yo, what about me?
Yeah, and I'm like, it's and I would be in a lot of those spaces, and I just got out the way because I was like, hey, let's bring somebody here. Let's bring Amara. Let Amara talk. Let somebody else, because they don't just want anybody. They want somebody with a platform. They want somebody. Unfortunately, this is the business. The business is about the business. So they're not going to go get a pharmacist. But I'm like, there are people here.
There's some dope pharmacists.
There are some dope pharmacists, and we should be talking to them. But capitalism, but Hollywood. And so, I've gotten out of the way because I feel like...
What a terrible double-edged sword, though, if we're only waiting for the person with the platform. But if we have so many barriers to that, Afro-Latino getting the platform, then there's only ever going to be so many people with the platform, and they can't be in 37 places at once, and it's probably designed that they're not in 37 places at once, and so it's just this like flawed snake eating itself problem.
And that's why when they call me and say, you're going to direct some specials for HBO, the specials are Ian Lara, who's a Black Dominican comedian from Queens, New York. There's a Salvadorian woman, Marcela Arguello, who, you know, has a very, very interesting story because she also is part Palestinian. You know, there's Gwen La Rocca, who is a Mexican woman from Chicago, una chicana. And then there's Ralph Barbosa, who's now one of the biggest comedians.
Super funny.
Yeah, one of the biggest comics in the game. But that's how you do it. You just say, I'm not doing this if it's not this. I don't want to be a part of that. And there are people like Edwin Lacona who said, I want you to do this because I know that you care about this stuff. And then there are people who don't, and those are not my people, and I don't need to be around them. But you got to do the work. Melissa Barrera doesn't have to do what she's doing and hurting her career, but she feels, Helen Keller said, one cannot consent to creep when one feels an impulse to soar. And that's one of like my favorite quotes, being the impulsive creature that I am. And I've always been told to tone that impulse down. You're too impulsive, you're too passionate, too ambitious, like tone it down. That quote just freed me from like, I can't creep. It's just who I am to explode. And I think that that's how you do it.
You were directing specials for HBO. Mm-hmm. What is that? How do you direct?
Comedy.
Are you directing literally their jokes, or what are we directing?
No, I mean, well, I did sit and watch their sets so that I can get their cadence and see their movements. But it's really, you know, I think people take for granted because we're just standing there. But because I'm a comedian and I know how I want to be seen, I want you to punch in at the right moment for this punchline. I want to be properly lit. I want people to see my face and understand what I'm saying. And so it was a very great experience for me. Now that I'm getting ready to shoot another special, I have a lot of ideas about how to stand, you know, where to stand, what lenses I want, you know, like, how do I want to be lit? How do I want this backdrop to, what am I saying? What is the story that I'm telling? And I think that being able to do that for a comedian, because it looks so simple, but it is an enormous amount of time that we've spent crafting this particular hour of material, you know, trial and error, carving, trimming the fat, getting this piece to tell this story for this hour to people and wanting them to receive it. Just being able to tap into that with the comedians and saying, what do you want to say? What are we doing here?
Well, isn't that the great skill and gift of art, is making simple things or making really complicated things look simple.
Absolutely.
Sports, anything, like that's genius at work. It's our whole life's practice.
It is. And it's so important to be able to honor that. Stand-up comedians we don't have a union. We're like the blue collar workers of the entertainment business. So you can go to one place and get paid $50, and for the same type of work and amount of time that you put into that work, you can go somewhere else and get paid $1,500. Nobody regulates it. There's no church in the wild. We are out there like really, really surviving. And so if I can in any way alleviate a little bit of that for my fellow comics, that makes me feel like I did something good.
But worth it to be in the Church of the Wild.
Absolutely, because we are we are out there saying things. I mean, it's one of the last forms of resistance, of being able to speak to what's happening and giving a voice to people who don't.
You mean one of the last forms of free speech, literally, you believe?
I mean, allegedly. I mean, we are feeling it in comedy as well.
How do you feel it? Who would tell you to? literally the job you might take or not get because
you won't get
your
booked.
content is
if you're saying
pro this, anti that.
Who owns the clubs, who owns the venues, who books the shows, who's producing stuff. I've been told by my representation that there's a booker who books one of the late night shows that he doesn't like my comedy. He doesn't like me. He said I'll never be on the show. And I don't know where that comes from because I'm just doing me. But I feel like it might be a little racist because I am not.
Probably a little racist.
Yeah, I'm not doing the stuff that you think I should be doing. I don't want to tap dance for white people. There are a lot of white people who are okay with me being who I am and they receive me and take me just as I am and they fuck with me heavy. So why do I have to tap dance and reinforce stereotypes for racist people to make them feel comfortable in believing what they believe about me? That's not my audience. Those are not my people. There are plenty of people who will tap dance for you, but I'm not her. So, so stand-up is in a very weird place right now. There's these battles, the culture wars, they exist in stand-up.
As we start to wrap, what are you excited about / any questions for me?
So I want to know, I always have questions because these are interactive experiences and I love what moves you when you are creating art with someone else, when you are collaborating with someone, what is the thing that makes you say, ooh, I'm in this?
Yeah, so my favorite part of art making is the collaboration part.
Oh, is it? Okay, you're a collaborator.
Which is crazy because I also make a lot of solo shows and yet it doesn't exist in a vacuum and I'm in collaboration and I have a director and I even have scenic design and this and this and this and I feel that same way on set. Like a movie is so whack if you were there, but then you see it and then you're like, this is so cool that happened. And they need to get really intimate with the thing that moves them, like what moved these women to save a dog but not a person. And so I think about this all the time. It's my great work as an artist is to be moved. My mentor, Yusef Kumunyaka, says your only job as an artist is to be moved. And you have to be open, full 24/7. And if you need to scribe, Mary Oliver, let me go back to Mary Oliver. As a kid, used to hide pencils all around the city.
Wow.
In case she was moved. At any moment, she needed to write something down. Hid pencils all around the city. That's how I want to live my life. I want to have pencils all around the city so I can be moved at any moment. To love more, to write that down, to take that message, to receive that gift. And so I think about what moves me all the time and it's my great work for which all other work is preparation. And so everything moves me. This conversation has moved me. Yeah.
Same. I want to see this show. I want to be there.
Come, I'll send it. It's so cool. It's the dopest thing I've ever made.
I buy tickets too.
How to get free.
I won't text you and ask you to put me on the
I'll
list.
give you.
Nah, I'm not. I believe in supporting art, like our artists.
I'm grateful for you.
I hope you loved it. I know I did. And we have an extra bonus episode coming out this week. That's what we're going to be doing this season. We got a couple bonus episodes that will be dropping midweek before our regular scheduled programming. Okay, much love.